let's go to the PJ Pick 5 now in the NFL and look at some of my favorite bets that we have there. The Seahawks and the Jags. I like that in a teaser. Teasing Seattle down to -1, teasing the Jags up to +7.5. I've told you guys, I think the Jags +7.5 is one of the best teaser legs that I've seen all year because the Colts are struggling, the Jags play everybody close, and Indy has lost 10 straight games in Jacksonville. They haven't won there since 2014. You figure a game this big, both teams 8-4, battling for first place in the AFC South. If the Colts were to win, I don't think it's going to be by more than 7. So I like the Jags in a teaser, and I like the Seahawks as well, teasing them down to -1. I just don't know how Kirk Cousins is going to move the ball on that Seattle defense. I just don't know. We have talked about nauseum on this show. We talk about it every week, how great the Seattle Seahawks are on the road, how great they've been under Mike McDonald. Don't know if I want to lay the 7.5 with the Seahawks, but I'll gladly take the 1 in a teaser with Jacksonville +7.5. I do like the Raiders this week, +7.5 against the Broncos. Denver has won 4 straight games by 3 points or fewer. They're playing everybody close right now. They're coming off a game against Washington where their defense was on the field for 85 plays. They had to play an OT game. Look at Denver's 4 remaining games after this one. Jacksonville, Green Bay, Chargers, Chiefs. Monster games. Big game after big game. And all they have before that is a road trip to Vegas to take on one of the worst teams in the NFL. This could be a trap game for the Broncos. I like Raiders +7.5. Packers, Bears, I'm going under 44.5 in that game at Lambeau. Divisional game in December, in the cold, in the frozen tundra. Going to be tough to move the football. Caleb Williams' passing yardage total in this game is 194.5, which kind of tells you how inept at times the Bears' passing offense has been, and also how good that Packers defense is, especially at home. Bears want to run the football. They want to lean on their offensive line. They want to control the line of scrimmage, limit the turnovers. And the Packers offense, as of late, especially at home, not been very good. Look at the last couple games against the Eagles and against the Panthers as well. I'm taking under 44.5 in that game. I'll take the Buffalo Bills -5.5 against the Bengals. Now, the Bills have been a tricky team to bet this season because of how up and down they've been. It feels like when they play well and you're ready to buy in, that's when they play bad. When they play bad and you think that, oh, maybe they're going to go on a little bit of a dry spell, they play well again. Coming off a good game against the Steelers, but it's more so I want to fade Cincinnati. Joe Burrow comes back. They beat the Ravens on Thanksgiving night. The whole world watches it. And now all of a sudden people think maybe the Bengals can win the division and make the playoffs. Was that game more about the Bengals, though, or was it more about the fact that the Ravens had 5 turnovers against one of the worst defenses in league history? Tend to think it was the latter. Buffalo, if they just run the football and play decent defense, they should win this game by more than a touchdown. I like the Bills -5.5. And then finally, give me the Chargers +2.5 against the Eagles. I think we've seen it the last 2 or 3 years with the Eagles. When they're running hot and they're in rhythm and they're playing good football, they just don't lose. On the flip side, when the Eagles are struggling and things start to pile up and the locker room starts to come into question a little bit, they start to spiral. That offense isn't getting fixed anytime soon. They are a mess. They got injuries to their offensive line. I'll take the Chargers +2.5 against Philly. All right, some of my favorite NFL player props that I have for this weekend before we check in with our guy, Shane Thurston. Derrick Henry over 19.5 rushing attempts against the Steelers. It's pretty simple for the Ravens, man. And I say this a lot, but it better be pretty simple for them on Sunday. Derrick Henry only got 10 carries against the Bengals. That's unacceptable. Let's hope they were saving him for this game against the Steelers, because when they used him in the playoff game last year against Pittsburgh, they dominated and they didn't turn the ball over. I hope they use that same game plan again. The Bills just ran for the most rushing yards ever at a Steelers home game at Acrisure Stadium. That's the formula. Run the king. I think they do that. Over 19.5 rushing attempts for Derrick Henry. Kirk Cousins to throw an interception is -135. I'd lay the juice against that Seattle defense. It just feels like a disaster waiting to happen. Caleb Williams, I'll take his over rushing yards, 19.5. Shout out to our guy Shawnee Sharp who gave out this play yesterday. I'm going to tail him on this. Before the game last week against Philly, Caleb actually had 20 rushing yards in his last 5 games. So he's gone over this in 5 of his last 6. He tends to run in these type of games, and with how good that Packers pass rush is, I think Caleb's going to be on the move. So I'll take his over rushing yards against Green Bay. Harrison Butker, I'll go over 1.5 field goals for him against the Texans. That Houston defense, as we all know, is really good. They're really tough to score on, really hard to score touchdowns against, and Kansas City's red zone offense is just not what we're used to seeing. So I'll take Butker over 1.5 field goals, and then Josh Allen over 1.5 passing touchdowns is minus 118. Again, probably going to be a heavy run game plan for the Bills, but that price for me, Josh Allen, 2 or more passing touchdowns against that defense at minus 118, too good to pass up. So I'll go Allen over passing touchdowns as well.